Alright guys, today we're here to do another video, and today we're taking a look at the Dead Cells iiRcade Gold Edition. We're going to be comparing it to my original machine that I still have here in the house, the original iiRcade that I have. Talk about the differences, if there is that many, and we're going to talk about who this is for, who should buy it, if it's worth your money, and all that kind of stuff, and what I think about it so far and using it for the past week. So let's go ahead and get into the video.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a brekkie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
Alright guys, so I wanted to give everyone first a reminder of what the old machine here looks like that I had. So this is the original iiRcade. This is the model that I had on here, as you guys can see here. This has like the candy cab kind of look to it, as you guys are looking at here. This was the artwork here on the side. It was the original artwork from iiRcade, and this is what I had before. No marquee lit up or anything like that, and those are how the speakers were designed, and then that's how the artwork was. I'll be 100% honest, the artwork was not my favorite thing. I got this obviously back in the day like the rest of us did before they announced their special edition, and I was really close to getting like the WrestleMania, the retro wrestling one, and some of the other models that they had, but I'm glad I held off because now of course we have the gold edition here, which kind of has improvements to everything, which is really cool. But I never really liked the original design as far as artwork goes. Like, I think it looks fine, but it definitely didn't like attract me to play it, and no one's going to come up to this machine, in my opinion, based on the artwork alone. So that was always a sore point for me, as I was like, I never really liked how it looked. Like I said, multiple times I almost went and got the one of the special editions, and then for whatever reason I didn't because I had other things to purchase, and then the gold edition cab showed up. So here is the gold edition that I have here in my arcade now. This is the Dead Cell models. I'm showing you guys with the lights off first so you guys can take a look. And then of course I will show you with the lights on here. But you can see that this obviously has a more direct look to what American style arcade machines usually look like. And I love the artwork of this machine. I'm already a huge fan of Dead Cells in general. And the fact that I have this now in my arcade where it actually has a game theme too, and I think it matches perfectly too, because not only do I like Dead Cells, but I think obviously iiRcade is going after the new more modern games and stuff like that, so having it themed to a modern game kind of fits the vibe of the cabinet that I hope they continue going forward with. So that's what we have here, and here's the side artwork. I know it's in a weird spot right now for me to get the full artwork, but you guys can get an idea. The artwork looks fantastic. It arrived in really good condition, of course. No issues, really easy to put together, all the usual stuff. It's built really well, obviously, just like the old one. But the artwork here is fantastic. I love the artwork at the front, as you guys are looking at there. I love the artwork on the control panel here, as you guys are looking at there. I think it looks fantastic in this color scheme, and I love the way that the marquee looks. Speaking of the marquee here, if we turn the lights back down, the marquee looks really, really good. Obviously, I don't know if it comes apparent on this video, but it's really vibrant and looks really good in my room. I did a really good job with the marquee, and I like the fact that we got a marquee in general, because as you guys can see, we have a new design on here compared to the one I just showed you here. So as you can see in this design, we have the more curved design like the ones that we recognize in the American and the States here, but with a little bit more of a curve to it. It's not exactly like the American ones, but it's obviously way more close to it. It's more of a design that we're all used to, and they did a really good job with the marquee here. Looks really good, and I'm happy to have the marquee in here instead of this machine that you guys saw. Or as you can see right here on this old machine here, there is no marquee because it's designed with the speakers in front. Again, looks more like a candy cab unit, so it's obviously designed a little bit different here. But I do like the marquee and the speakers being down on the original marquee like we're used to. Now, speaking of the buttons here that we're going to talk about next here, this is the original cab again, as you guys can see here. My unit didn't even have the power button that lit up or anything like some of the newer units have now, so you can see that there. Mine's just a regular power button, but you can see here it does have the headphone jack on the original cab. All the stuff that you're used to is still on here, but you can see it has the circle top here for the controls, and you can see the button layout and all that stuff. And now if we go to the new cab here on the gold edition, you can see on the new cab version here on the gold edition, it's ball top instead, so it has a different look to it. This is more the American style, so it kind of matches the fact that they went to the American style cab and stuff like that. You can see that this one has the light up power button to go to, you can power and sleep it, so that's lit up over there. But other than that, the button layout is kind of the same here, besides those two minor changes there. And they still kept with the red and black buttons, because that's kind of the iiRcade colors, even though probably would have wished if they would have went with like purple to match the cab even more in the artwork, but it's still fine. I mean, you could change out the buttons if you want to, but that's what we have here. It looks really good, it looks really nice, and overall they're really similar, except for the fact that we have the power asleep on this newer edition that I have here, and these different style of tops on the arcade joysticks. The next thing, of course, that we're going to talk about is the speakers here. So as I told you before, the speakers here are kind of right in front of you based on the style of the machine here, but they did have really good quality speakers on here. I don't think anybody was complaining before of the quality of speakers. I mean, you can hear how loud these are here when a game starts, just by moving around. Those are loud. And the sound quality was overall really good on these speakers. Like I said, it's not something that a lot of people complained about with the iiRcade. It's much better than anything else out there from other companies. So the speakers were already really good on the original cab. And you can see on here, if we look over here, these are the new speakers on the new unit. Again, they're kind of slanted down like you would expect, and it has its sound by JBL, so they have a partnership now with JBL, and these speakers are even better, believe it or not, than they were on the other cab that, like I said, that no one complained about. These sound really, really good. I have no reason to upgrade these or do anything to these. They sound fantastic, and I'm really, really happy to have these set of speakers in here, even though I wasn't something I was screaming for because the sound was already good. The fact that we have even better quality speakers on the Gold Edition, and them having a partnership with JBL is awesome for them and awesome for us, because they're definitely better sounding speakers. Now, as far as the screen goes, they're both exactly the same, so it's still the same 19-inch TN monitor. We don't have to worry about viewing angles or anything like that, as people usually complain about with other TN monitors. This one's really good. As good as TN monitors could be. It's really colorful, vibrant, and bright. Didn't have any issues with the original screen on the iiRcade, and this is the exact same screen that's being used here on the Gold Edition. Now, one of the things we don't have on the original iiRcade here, as you guys are looking at here, is there's no USB ports in the front, and there's no way to put them on like there is on the Gold Edition cab. And why is that important? Well, because there's things coming out here in the future that they have announced, accessories that you can actually connect to your iiRcade, that are going to be a little bit more complicated in certain aspects on the original machine. So on the original machine, Glenn's Retro Show, that we all know from the community, is making a deck that you can kind of just take this one out and replace it, and it will have a spinner and a trackball, controls, and all that kind of stuff that he's already showed us. And on this version here, you'll still be able to do it, but it will be Bluetooth. So you'll have it on here in Bluetooth, and that's how it will pair. So there'll be slight lag, like a slight delay, like any Bluetooth thing, but I'm confident that they'll get that working pretty well for the original owners and all that kind of stuff. So that's good. But when it comes to Sinden Light Gun and technology with light guns that they announced, which is fantastic, that they have an open accessories model. So whatever company reaches out to them, if they want to do like accessories and add them in here into the USB port, they'll just load the drivers on the machine, and then everyone can use the accessories that they already have. So if you have Sinden Light Guns already, on the Gold Edition cab downstairs that I'll show you guys in a minute, the USB ports will be there on the bottom. But unfortunately on here there isn't, and there is no such thing as Bluetooth light guns right now. So when it comes to light gun games that they have announced so far, the one that they've announced so far, you're not going to be able to, which is Operation Wolf, obviously, that we all heard about. You're not going to be able to play it on this machine currently, but they said that they're working on it. iiRcade and Glenn's Retro Show said that there's something they're looking into to see if there's anything they could do with Bluetooth light guns or anything like that. We'll see how that goes. But as of right now, that would be the downside of owning the original cab here, is you're not going to be able to enjoy light gun games for the time being, at least, until something changes. And it will be Bluetooth controlled for his control deck, which will obviously not be as reliable and fast as a direct USB connection, no matter what they do. There will always be that slight delay if you compare them back and forth. But at least we do have the option, and I'm glad they didn't just leave all the iiRcade original owners behind when it comes to the new control decks and stuff. So at least you'll be able to play most of that stuff. The only thing that they're still trying to figure out is the light gun technology. So we'll see if that's something that they can do. And as you can see here on the Gold Edition, those are the two USB ports that you now get onto the Gold Edition to be able to do all the stuff we just talked about there. Now, as far as the iiRcade menu system, of course, nothing's different here. The same menu system that was always on here is still on here. I think this thing definitely needs to be revamped, and I think that's something that they're already working on, because I do think that it's not a... it doesn't look that pretty to me, like scrolling through the top menu and stuff. I mean, it's fine, it gets the job done, but it's not fantastic, it's not great. So they're working on a redesign that I hope looks a lot better than this. That's something that a lot of people have wanted for a while, just to make their games more fun to look at when they turn on the iiRcade. This looks a little bit generic with just some lists and stuff as you scroll through, but hopefully that's something that they get out to all of us soon. And again, the features are all the same. We're still waiting for an online store to be able to buy our games directly on the unit as opposed to buying it from our phones, which is something that I'm sure they're working towards, all that kind of stuff. But the menu system on both machines are exactly the same. They will remain the same, so no difference between the two cabs. And this looks just as good or just as bad, however you look at it, on both of the machines, no matter what. And this machine still did come with the 12 games that are always usually included, so that's still on this machine. It did come with a code in the instruction manual to redeem those 12 games, so that's how you get it. You get a code in the manual, and then you could redeem your 12 games, and it does include Dead Cells, like you would think it should with the machines. So you do get that game as well, and it's great to be able to have all these games on here to start with the original 12, and of course it has the online game store for you to continue to buy more. The game store is obviously very subjective depending on what you think of the current library on here. I find a lot of games on here that I do like. My motto is like, obviously if I have like 15 to 20 games on here that I really like and enjoy playing, then obviously I kind of already got my money's worth on the original cab. Obviously now I got the gold edition, so we're kind of starting over with that. So we'll see as games progress if they bring those heavy hitters that we're all talking about and we all want. They definitely have some stuff to prove. I hope they have some heavy, at least a couple of heavy hitters before the holiday season, because we all want those. We all want those games that we're all waiting for. And of course, we also have the online play functionality on here. As you guys know, right now it's a little bit weird because you have to like go into settings and kind of scroll down and do an online game check every time you turn the machine on to be able to check the games are online, and then you can see on the right hand side here if it actually does have online. But it's very early. They have some work to do with online play. We all want like an open lobby system because there's obviously not millions of people who own this arcade machine. So what we generally all want is just like a lobby button right here in the front. Shows you all the current active games no matter what game it is. And if you see someone playing Beach Buggy Racing, you know you can hop in with them and play online. And if you see someone playing, you know, Maniac Square, you can hop in and join with them, as opposed to opening up the game individually and then seeing if anybody's in that game and so on and so forth. It's going to make it's going to make it harder to find people online. So an open lobby system would work great on here, and hopefully that's something that they're steering towards because it would make me use the online even more. I do like the fact that a lot of the games do have leaderboards, so that gives me an incentive to play these old school games again, or play these games that I can play on other platforms but maybe don't have leaderboard support, which is always fun to chase leaderboards and see the people that you recognize in the community and chasing against them and stuff like that. Alright guys, so overall my impressions on this machine are really positive. It's definitely a step up to what I had before. Now, as I talked about in my original machine, my main issue with this is that I didn't like the original artwork. I know some people do. I didn't like it at all. It kind of stuck out as a sore spot in my arcade, and I didn't really like the original artwork, whatever the case may be. That's why I said I almost bought the other special editions that were out there, even though I'm glad I held off, but I almost did because I just didn't like the artwork. So the artwork here is fantastic. It matches the vibe with the iiRcade because it's a newer game, and that's obviously what the iiRcade is for. It kind of matches that vibe, so I'm super happy with that. Love the way the artwork turned out. It came out perfect. I love the color scheme. Love the way the marquee looks, all that stuff. I like the fact that I now have a light up marquee because all my other machines in my arcade all have light up marquees, so it's great to be able to match it with that. So really like that. I like the new shape. I like the fact that the speakers are at the bottom. I wasn't really the hugest fan of the candy cap style. I like this style better. So I was super happy with that as well. But outside of the cosmetic changes and the design and stuff like that, and the artwork, and the fact that the power button is now lit up, which I didn't have before, the only other major difference to consider for you guys and for me was these USB plugs here in the front. Now, as I talked about there at the end of the video, they are doing some work here to not leave the original iiRcade owners behind. So if you have the original iiRcade, you obviously don't have USB ports, but Glenn's Retro Show, who's making the new control panels with trackballs and spinners and stuff like that, said that they're going to be Bluetooth enabled, so you can still use them on the original arcade in Bluetooth fashion, where here it will be USB. So of course there'll be some slight delay as usual with Bluetooth when you compare it to USB, but I'm sure the experience will be pretty good for most people using it in that method, and I'm glad they didn't just leave the original iiRcade owners behind for those who don't see the reason to upgrade to this right here. Now, when it comes to light guns that they announced with Operation Wolf that they announced, unfortunately there is no Bluetooth light guns or anything like that. iiRcade and Glenn said in a recent interview, in a recent live stream, that they're still looking into it and working on it. We'll see what that comes about. There's no answers though, and that seems like a hard thing to do. So when it comes to the original iiRcade, you're probably not going to be able to use the light guns, at least for the foreseeable future, unless if you upgrade and you have Sindens already and you can plug them into the USBs here on the front, and then you'll be able to play. So far, just Operation Wolf, which we assume will be a lot more titles coming forward with that. So if that's important to you with light gun technology, because this is the only arcade machine that you have, that's something to consider and keep in mind. And the fact that this is an open arcade platform and accessories platform is cool, because even though they started off with Sinden, you never know, they might go after Gunfire Arrow, which is the guns I have, and other things that they can plug into, and everyone can use whatever accessories they want, and kind of just use it with this machine and not be stuck with just one, which is awesome that that's kind of the approach that they're taking on these machines. But other than that, guys, I think that summarizes everything about the machines. If I were you and I didn't have the original, I would save up and get this one here, so you're kind of future-proofed more, in my opinion. But if you already have the original already and you're happy with it, you don't hate the artwork like I did, you don't hate the design, you don't really care about the light gun technology, and you just care about the controls that you're going to get via Bluetooth and stuff, then I think you should just stay put. Especially if you're not the hugest fan of the library of games that are coming out. That's obviously very subjective. We're still waiting on some heavy hitters that we've all been asking for to come onto the platform. We've gotten a lot of games lately, but they've all been like old school games, which I've had a lot of fun with, but we all want like the next big thing. Streets of Rage 4 or the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, something that could really push the limits of this machine is what we all want. So we're still waiting for that, so that's something to consider as well if you guys want to plug it down, because this machine is $1,000. It's not cheap. And the other machines, you could probably find them for at least half off of that if you look at your local marketplace and stuff like that. So it depends on how much you value that extra difference of both of these. For me, I didn't like the original artwork, so I thought it was worth just upgrading it for the Marquee, the artwork, and the fact that I'll be future-proof here. And I obviously made some money back by selling my original one that I'll be doing here shortly. So kind of just depends what you guys are looking for. That's going to be a very subjective decision, but I don't think most people should be rushing out to get it unless if this is your only machine and light gun is your really main thing that you're worried about. Then maybe that's something to consider. But other than that, you got to take all the things I just said into account and see if it's worth it for you. I think it was worth it for me. So, if you guys have any questions about what you guys saw in today's video, guys, as always, leave it down below. If not, thank you guys for watching. Until next time.